The grandfather clock in Windsor Castle struck 11:30 as Queen. Camilla paced across the Persian carpet in her private study. The soft glow from her desk lamp cast long shadows on the walls, lined with first edition books and family photographs. She had dismissed her staff hours ago, claiming she needed time alone to review correspondence. But tonight, her mind was focused on something far more pressing than thank you notes from charity events. Kate Middleton had been gaining too much ground lately. The Princess of Wales seemed to effortlessly capture public attention with every appearance. Every speech, every carefully orchestrated public engagement. The newspapers constantly praised her grace, her fashion choices, her natural way with children and elderly citizens alike. Social media buzzed with admiration for Kate's latest initiatives. And polling numbers showed her approval ratings climbing steadily higher. Camilla stopped pacing and stood before the tall window overlooking the castle grounds. The moonlight illuminated the ancient oak trees that had witnessed centuries of royal drama and intrigue. She thought about the upcoming royal tour of Scotland, scheduled for the following month. Originally planned as a joint engagement for several working royals, it had evolved into what many viewed as a showcase opportunity. Kate was set to lead several key events, including a high-profile visit to Edinburgh's Children's Hospital and a cultural celebration in Glasgow. The Queen Consort had initially supported these arrangements during the planning meetings. She had smiled graciously when King Charles suggested that Kate's natural rapport with people would make her perfect for the more intimate gatherings. She had nodded approvingly when palace staff recommended highlighting Kate's charitable work during the Scottish visit. But privately, a different emotion had been growing stronger each day. The truth was that Camilla felt overshadowed. Despite her years of dedicated service to the crown, despite her gradual acceptance by the British public, despite her marriage to the king himself, she often felt like she was competing for relevance in a family that seemed naturally drawn to Kate's star power. The younger woman's ability to generate positive headlines appeared effortless, while Camilla's own achievements required careful media management and strategic planning. She walked to her desk and pulled out a leather-bound notebook where she kept private thoughts and observations. Flipping through pages of her careful handwriting, she found the entry from 3 weeks ago when Kate had visited a London primary school. The event had been intended as a routine engagement, but Kate's impromptu decision to join the children for their lunch break had created a viral moment. Photos of the Princess of Wales, sitting cross-legged on tiny plastic chairs, laughing with 7-year-olds over fish fingers and chips, had dominated social media for days. Camilla remembered watching the coverage that evening, feeling a familiar knot of frustration form in her stomach. She had visited dozens of schools over the years, supported educational charities, had championed literacy programs across the Commonwealth. Yet somehow, Kate's single lunch break had generated more positive coverage than Camilla's entire educational advocacy portfolio. The Queen Consort closed the notebook and reached for her secure phone, the one used for private family communications. She scrolled through her contacts until she found the number for Sir Michael Stevens, the keeper of the Privy Purse and one of the most influential figures in palace administration. Michael had always been professional and respectful, but Camilla sensed he understood the delicate dynamics within the royal family. Her finger hovered over the call button. It was late, but she knew Michael often worked past midnight, managing the complex financial and logistical machinery that kept the monarchy functioning. More importantly, she knew he would answer. Senior palace staff understood that calls from the Queen Consort, regardless of the hour, required immediate attention. The plan forming in her mind was subtle, but potentially effective. If she could convince Michael to make some minor adjustments to the Scottish tour arrangements, she might be able to redirect some of the spotlight back toward herself. Nothing dramatic or obvious, just small changes that would naturally elevate her role while slightly diminishing Kate's presence. She thought about suggesting that security concerns required modifications to Kate's hospital visit. Perhaps the children's ward was too chaotic for a royal visit, too unpredictable for proper media management. Maybe the Glasgow cultural event needed a more senior, royal presence to properly represent the Crown's commitment to Scottish heritage. These weren't unreasonable suggestions, and coming from the Queen Consort, they would carry significant weight. Camilla pressed the call button and listened to the phone ring. Outside her window, a security guard walked his patrol route, his footsteps echoing softly on the gravel path. The castle felt peaceful in the late hour, but her mind raced with possibilities and potential outcomes. "Your Majesty," Michael's voice came through clearly, alert despite the late hour. "How may I assist you this evening?" "Michael, I hope I haven't disturbed you too terribly," Camilla began, settling into the hub-backed chair behind her desk. "I've been reviewing the arrangements for the Scottish tour, and I have some concerns that I believe require immediate attention." She could hear papers rustling in the background as Michael presumably reached for the relevant files. His efficiency and discretion had made him invaluable to the royal household. And Camilla was counting on both qualities tonight. "Of course, Your Majesty. I have the complete itinerary here. What specific aspects concern you?" Camilla took a deep breath. Knowing that the next few minutes would set events in motion that could significantly alter the dynamics of the upcoming tour, she had rehearsed her talking points, framing each suggestion as a matter of protocol, security, or royal dignity rather than personal preference. "I believe we need to reconsider some of the venue arrangements and perhaps adjust the hierarchy of who represents the crown at which events," she began, her voice carrying the authority of her position while maintaining the reasonable tone of someone simply looking out for the monarchy's best interests. What Camilla didn't realize was that her call was about to trigger a chain of events that would ultimately work against her intentions, setting the stage for Kate to emerge even stronger than before. Sir Michael Stevens listened carefully as Queen Camilla outlined her concerns about the Scottish tour arrangements. From his home office in Kensington, surrounded by towers of official documents and royal correspondence, he made notes on his tablet while considering the implications of each suggestion. 25 years of royal service had taught him to read between the lines when senior family members called with administrative concerns. "I understand your points about security protocols." "Your Majesty," Michael said diplomatically, "the Children's Hospital does present certain challenges for media management and crowd control. And you're quite right that the Glasgow cultural event deserves appropriate senior representation." Camilla felt encouraged by his receptive tone. "Exactly my thinking, Michael. Perhaps it would be more suitable for me to handle the Glasgow event, given its historical significance to the Crown's relationship with Scotland. And regarding the hospital visit, maybe we could find a more controlled environment for the Princess of Wales. Something that would still showcase her charitable work, but with better security arrangements." Michael typed notes as she spoke, but part of his mind was already calculating the potential reactions from other palace departments. The tour had been months in planning, with venues booked, security assessed, media accredited, and public expectations set. Changes at this stage would require delicate handling and convincing justifications. "I'll need to consult with the security team about the hospital concerns," Michael said carefully, "and I should discuss the Glasgow venue change with the Scottish Secretary's office, as they've been coordinating with local officials for weeks." Michael sat back in his leather chair and stared at his notes. The Queen Consort's requests weren't technically unreasonable, but the timing felt unusual. He had worked closely with Camilla on numerous events, and she typically showed more consideration for established arrangements. Something about tonight's call suggested urgency beyond mere administrative efficiency. Michael reached for his secure laptop and pulled up the detailed files for the Scottish tour. The Edinburgh Children's Hospital visit had been specifically requested by Kate herself, developed from her ongoing work with early childhood development charities. The Princess of Wales had spent months preparing, meeting with hospital staff, reviewing child psychology protocols, and even consulting with pediatric specialists about appropriate interaction methods for young patients. The Glasgow cultural celebration had indeed been assigned to Kate, but for strategic reasons. The event highlighted traditional Scottish arts and crafts, areas where Kate's genuine interest and knowledge shone through. She had visited Scottish textile workshops, learned about Highland pottery techniques, and developed relationships with local artisans who were excited to showcase their work to the Princess of Wales. Michael understood palace politics well enough to recognize what was happening. The Queen Consort was feeling overshadowed by Xade's rising popularity and was attempting to reclaim some prominence through administrative channels. While this wasn't entirely inappropriate, it put Michael in a difficult position. His job was to serve the crown's best interests, not to manage family dynamics. He decided to take an indirect approach. Rather than immediately implementing Camilla's suggestions, he would present them to the appropriate committees and departments for review. This would buy time while ensuring that any changes went through proper channels. If the modifications were genuinely warranted, they would survive scrutiny. If they were primarily motivated by personal considerations, the process would likely reveal better alternatives. The next morning, Michael called an emergency meeting with the tour planning committee. Present were representatives from the Scottish Secretary's Office, Royal Protection Services, the Press Office, and Kate's private secretary, Amanda Wilson. Michael presented the Queen Consort's concerns without revealing their source. Framing them as routine security and protocol reviews, Amanda Wilson, a sharp and experienced aide who had worked with Kate for 3 years, immediately sensed something unusual about the proposed changes. She had been present during all the original planning sessions and remembered no security concerns about the children's hospital. The venue had been thoroughly vetted, with royal protection officers conducting multiple site visits and approving all arrangements. "I'm curious about the timing of these concerns," Amanda said diplomatically. "The hospital visit has been Kate's personal priority for this tour. She's invested significant time in preparation. The children's ward staff have been planning special activities for weeks. Changing venues now would disappoint many young patients who are looking forward to the visit." The security representative, Commander James Morrison, reviewed his files and confirmed that no new threats or concerns had emerged regarding the hospital. The venue remained fully approved from a protection standpoint. The original security assessment had been comprehensive and recent. "If there are no genuine security issues," Amanda continued, "I'd like to understand what other factors might justify disappointing sick children and disrupting months of careful planning." Michael found himself in an increasingly uncomfortable position. He couldn't reveal that the Queen Consort had requested the changes without proper justification, but he also couldn't fabricate security concerns that didn't exist. The meeting was exposing the weakness of Camilla's suggested modifications. Dr. Sarah Campbell, the hospital's chief pediatrician, joined the meeting via video call to address any concerns about the visit. She explained the extensive preparations her staff had made, the therapeutic benefits many young patients were anticipating from meeting the Princess of Wales, and the potential negative impact of canceling at this late stage. "Many of our young patients have been following the Princess of Wales's charity work," Dr. Campbell explained. "They've made cards, practiced conversation topics, and some have been using the upcoming visit as motivation during difficult treatments. Canceling would be devastating for children who are already facing enormous challenges." Amanda Wilson seized this moment to propose an alternative approach. If there were genuine concerns about the tour arrangements, perhaps the solution was to enhance Kate's role rather than diminish it. The hospital visit could be expanded to include additional charitable announcements or policy initiatives. The Glasgow cultural event could be elevated to include broader discussions about the Crown's commitment to preserving Scottish heritage, rather than scaling back the Princess of Wales's involvement, Amanda suggested. "We could use these concerns as opportunities to demonstrate even stronger royal commitment to Scottish communities and institutions." Michael realized that Amanda's counterproposal was not only more defensible, but actually improved the tour's overall impact. By the end of the meeting, the committee had developed enhanced arrangements that made Kate's engagements more significant, not less. The hospital visit would now include the announcement of a new royal patronage for pediatric research. The Glasgow event would feature the launch of a cultural preservation initiative, as Michael prepared to report back to Queen Camilla. He understood that her nighttime call had backfired spectacularly. Instead of diminishing Kate's prominence on the Scottish tour, the review process had actually amplified it. The Princess of Wales would now have two major announcement opportunities, generating even more positive media coverage than originally planned. The irony wasn't lost on Michael. In trying to protect her own position, Queen Consort had inadvertently created a perfect platform for Kate to shine even brighter. Amanda Wilson sat in her office at Kensington Palace, reviewing the enhanced Scottish tour arrangements with a mixture of satisfaction and concern. The meeting with Sir Michael Stevens had gone better than expected, but she sensed underlying currents that troubled her. After 3 years as Kate's private secretary, she had developed an instinct for reading palace politics, and something about the sudden security review felt orchestrated. Kate entered the office, carrying a cup of tea and wearing the casual jeans and sweater that had become her trademark off-duty look. Even without formal attire, she maintained the natural elegance that had made her such a media favorite. She settled into the chair across from Amanda's desk, ready for their daily briefing on upcoming engagements. "The Scottish tour has taken an interesting turn," Amanda began, choosing her words carefully. "We've received approval for some significant enhancements to your hospital and Glasgow visits." Kate listened as Amanda explained the new patronage announcement for pediatric research and the Cultural Preservation Initiative launch. While pleased about the additional charitable opportunities, Kate's media training had taught her to recognize when good news came with complications. "These are wonderful additions," Kate said thoughtfully, "but I sense there's more to this story. Enhancement requests usually come from us, not from administrative reviews." Amanda appreciated Kate's perceptiveness. The princess had learned to navigate royal protocols without losing her natural instincts about people and situations. "You're right to sense something unusual. There was apparently a late-night concern about security and protocol arrangements that triggered the review." Kate sipped her tea and considered this information. She had worked hard to build positive relationships throughout the royal household, avoiding the factional dynamics that had historically plagued the monarchy. But she wasn't naive about the competitive elements that sometimes surfaced, particularly as public attention increasingly focused on the younger generation of royals. "Do we know the source of these concerns?" Kate asked diplomatically. Amanda hesitated. Palace staff operated under strict codes of discretion, but she also owed loyalty to Kate's interests and well-being. The concerns appear to have originated from senior family sources, though the specific security issues mentioned couldn't be substantiated by protection services. Kate understood immediately. Someone had attempted to diminish her role on the Scottish tour, but the intervention had backfired, creating even more opportunities for positive coverage. The irony wasn't lost on her, but she felt no satisfaction in what appeared to be family tension playing out through administrative channels. "I think we need to handle this very carefully," Kate said. "Whatever motivated these concerns, we don't want to create more family friction by appearing to capitalize on the situation." This response confirmed Amanda's respect for Kate's character. Many people in similar situations might have felt vindicated or eager to leverage their advantage. Instead, Kate was thinking about family harmony and long-term relationships within the monarchy. Over the following days, Kate threw herself into preparation for the enhanced Scottish engagements with her characteristic thoroughness. She met with pediatric researchers to understand the latest developments in childhood, cancer treatment, and developmental disorders. She consulted with Scottish cultural historians about traditional crafts and their modern relevance. She reviewed briefing materials late into the evening, determined to make the most of the opportunities she'd been given. Prince William noticed his wife's intense preparation and asked about the upcoming tour during dinner one evening. Kate explained the enhanced arrangements while carefully avoiding speculation about their origins. William's expression grew thoughtful as he processed the information. "Someone tried to undermine your Scottish appearances?" he asked directly. Kate chose her words carefully. Someone had concerns about the original arrangements. The review process actually strengthened our opportunities to make a real impact. William understood palace dynamics as well as anyone. Born into the system, he had witnessed decades of family competition and territorial disputes. His protective instincts toward Kate had grown stronger since their marriage, particularly as she navigated the complex relationships within the royal family. "I think I should have a conversation with Father," William said quietly. Kate reached across the table and touched his hand. "Let's see how Scotland goes first. If we handle this well, it might actually improve relationships rather than strain them." Meanwhile, word of the enhanced tour arrangements was beginning to circulate through royal circles. Queen Camilla learned about the additional announcements during her morning briefing with her own private secretary. The news hit her like a cold wave of realization that her attempt to reclaim prominence had spectacularly backfired. Sir Michael Stevens had called to update her on the committee's decisions, presenting them as natural developments from her original security concerns. But Camilla understood immediately what had happened. Her nighttime call had triggered a review process that ultimately amplified Kate's platform rather than diminishing it. The Queen Consort felt a complex mixture of frustration and grudging respect. Kate hadn't deliberately outmaneuvered her, but the younger woman's team had turned a potential setback into a significant advantage. The hospital visit would now include a major charitable announcement that would dominate headlines. The Glasgow event would position Kate as a champion of Scottish cultural heritage. Camilla realized that her competitive instincts had led her into a tactical error. Instead of finding ways to elevate her own profile, she had attempted to diminish Kate's, and the palace machinery had naturally resisted such efforts. Royal staff were trained to maximize positive outcomes for the crown as a whole, not to facilitate internal competition. King Charles, when briefed on the enhanced Scottish arrangements by his private secretary, immediately sensed the underlying dynamics. His decades of royal service had given him extensive experience with family tensions playing out through official channels. He suspected that Camilla's late-night concerns had motivated the security review, but he was pleased with how the situation had resolved. "Sometimes the system works exactly as it should," Charles observed to his secretary. "Attempts to diminish the monarchy's effectiveness get transformed into opportunities for greater impact." The king understood that Kate's enhanced Scottish platform would benefit the entire royal family. Positive coverage of her charitable work and cultural engagement reflected well on the crown as an institution. Personal competitions within the family ultimately served no one's interests. When they interfered with the monarchy's public mission, as the Scottish tour approached, Kate felt the weight of expanded expectations, but also the satisfaction of knowing that her careful preparation would serve her well. She had learned from this episode that success in royal life came not from competing against family members, but from consistently delivering excellent public service that elevated everyone's standing. The stage was set for a Scottish tour that would exceed all original expectations, proving that sometimes the best responses to petty maneuvers are grace, preparation, and unwavering focus on the job at hand. The morning of Kate's Edinburgh hospital visit dawned crisp and clear, with autumn sunlight streaming through the tall windows of her hotel suite. She had arrived in Scotland the previous evening, spending time with local officials and reviewing final preparations for what had become the most anticipated royal engagement in months. Amanda Wilson knocked softly on the bedroom door. Carrying a steaming cup of tea and the morning newspapers, the coverage had already begun, with Scottish papers featuring front-page stories about the Princess of Wales's upcoming announcement regarding pediatric research funding. The speculation had been building for days, with medical journals and charity organizations expressing excitement about potential developments. The hospital staff are beside themselves with anticipation, Amanda reported as Kate emerged from the bathroom, already dressed in an elegant navy blue dress chosen specifically to photograph well under hospital lighting. Dr. Campbell says she's never seen the children's ward so energized. Even the youngest patients understand that something special is happening today. Kate smiled as she applied light makeup, thinking about the young faces she would soon meet. Her preparation over the past weeks had included studying individual cases of several patients, who were well enough to participate in the visit. She had memorized names, ages, favorite activities, and treatment progress, wanting each interaction to feel personal rather than ceremonial. The enhanced announcement. she would be making had grown beyond the original concept. Following extensive consultation with medical professionals and charitable organizations, Kate would be unveiling a comprehensive new initiative linking royal patronage with cutting edge. 8. Research into childhood developmental disorders. The program would provide funding for 3 major hospitals, while establishing a network for sharing research findings across the Commonwealth. At Kensington Palace, Prince William was monitoring media coverage of his wife's Scottish tour with pride and some amusement. The enhanced arrangements had generated more positive attention than any royal engagement in recent memory. Social media buzzed with anticipation. Medical professionals praised the royal family's commitment to healthcare, and Scottish officials expressed delight at the increased prominence of Kate's visits. William had indeed spoken with his father about the situation, though carefully and diplomatically. King Charles had listened thoughtfully to his son's observations about the enhanced tour arrangements and the circumstances that had led to them. Kate handles these situations with remarkable grace. Charles had observed, she never responds to competition with competition of her own. She simply does excellent work and lets that speak for itself. William had agreed, noting that his wife's approach had consistently strengthened rather than strained family relationships. Kate's success reflected well on the entire royal family, and her method of achieving it through hard work and genuine service made her victories feel collaborative rather than competitive. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla was preparing for her own Scottish engagements, scheduled for later in the week. The contrast with Kate's enhanced platform was becoming more apparent each day, and Camilla found herself in the uncomfortable position of having to match the energy and impact of events she had inadvertently helped create. Her private secretary had suggested additional charitable announcements for Camilla's own appearances, but these felt forced and reactive compared to Kate's carefully developed initiatives. Camilla began to understand that her mistake hadn't been in wanting greater prominence, but in trying to achieve it by diminishing someone else's opportunities. Back in Edinburgh, Kate arrived at the Children's Hospital to find crowds of well-wishers lining the streets despite the early hour. The enhanced media coverage had created genuine public excitement. With families traveling from across Scotland to catch a glimpse of the Princess of Wales, the scene had an energy that surprised even veteran royal protection officers Dr. Sarah Campbell met Kate at the hospital entrance, her professional composure barely containing obvious excitement. "Your Royal Highness, I cannot adequately express how much this enhanced visit means to our patients and families. The children have been preparing special presentations about their treatment experiences, hoping to contribute to your research initiative." Kate was touched by this unexpected development. The young patients hadn't simply been waiting to meet her. They had been actively preparing to participate in her charitable mission. This level of engagement exceeded anything she had experienced during previous hospital visits. The first ward Kate visited housed children receiving treatment for various developmental disorders. 8-year-old Jamie McLeod, who had been born with cerebral palsy, had prepared a detailed drawing showing how physical therapy had helped improve his mobility over the past year. His mother had helped him write notes about which exercises worked best and which equipment had made the biggest difference in his daily life. "I wanted to help other children like me," Jamie explained seriously as he presented his artwork to Kate. "Maybe the doctors can use my drawings to understand better." Kate knelt beside his wheelchair, genuinely moved by his thoughtfulness. "Jamie, this is exactly the kind of information that will help researchers develop better treatments. You're already helping other children by sharing your experience." Similar scenes played out throughout the morning as Kate met with dozens of young patients, each eager to contribute to her research initiative. The children had transformed from passive recipients of a royal visit into active participants in a charitable mission. Their enthusiasm and insights provided material for Kate's announcement that she hadn't anticipated. When Kate finally stood before the assembled media and hospital staff to make her formal announcement, she had far more to share than originally planned. The new royal patronage would indeed provide significant funding for pediatric research, but it would also incorporate patient perspectives in ways that had never been systematically attempted before. "Today I've learned that our youngest citizens are not just the beneficiaries of medical research, Kate said, her voice carrying genuine emotion. They are also valuable contributors to advancing our understanding of childhood development and treatment effectiveness. This initiative will ensure that patient voices are heard alongside medical expertise in shaping the future of pediatric care. The response was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. Medical professionals in attendance recognized the innovative approach Kate was proposing. Media coverage emphasized both the funding commitment and the unique patient-centered methodology. Social media exploded with praise for Kate's ability to connect with children while advancing serious medical research. Amanda Wilson watched from the side of the room, marveling at how Kate had transformed what began as a routine hospital visit into a groundbreaking charitable initiative. The princess had taken the enhanced platform she'd been given and used it to create something genuinely meaningful, rather than simply generating good publicity. As news of Kate's announcement spread throughout Scotland and beyond, Queen Camilla realized the full extent of her miscalculation. Her attempt to reclaim prominence had not only failed, but had created a platform for Kate to achieve even greater impact than anyone had originally envisioned. The younger woman's success was now undeniable and entirely deserved. The success of Kate's hospital announcement created a buzz that spread far beyond Scotland's borders. By the afternoon of her Edinburgh visit, international media outlets were picking up the story, praising the innovative approach to pediatric research and the Princess of Wales's genuine connection with young patients. Social media platforms buzzed with videos of Kate's interactions with children, particularly the moment when she knelt beside Jamie MacLeod to examine his detailed therapy drawings. Prince William called Kate that evening as she prepared for the next day's Glasgow cultural event. The pride in his voice was unmistakable as he shared the global media reaction and messages of support pouring in from medical organizations worldwide. Commonwealth Medical Association has already reached out about expanding the research network. Internationally, William reported, 3 universities have inquired about partnership opportunities. And the Children's Hospital in Toronto wants to implement similar patient consultation programs. Kate felt a deep satisfaction that went beyond personal achievement. The enhanced platform she'd been given had truly advanced important charitable work rather than simply generating publicity. But she also remained mindful of the family dynamics that had created this opportunity. "How is Camilla handling all the coverage?" Kate asked carefully. William paused before answering. "She's been quiet about it, but I think she's processing some lessons about how these situations work best." Father mentioned that she's been asking questions about collaborative approaches to upcoming engagements. Meanwhile, at Windsor Castle, Queen Camilla was indeed reflecting deeply on recent events. The morning newspapers spread across her breakfast table told a clear story of Kate's triumph. But they also highlighted something Camilla was beginning to understand more clearly. The most effective royal work came from genuine passion and careful preparation, not from competitive maneuvering. She had spent the previous evening in conversation with King Charles about the Scottish tour's developments. Her husband had been diplomatic, but clear about the lessons to be drawn from the situation. "The monarchy works best when we lift each other up, rather than seeking individual prominence," Charles had said gently. Kate's success in Edinburgh reflects well on all of us. Perhaps there are ways we can build on that momentum together. Camilla was scheduled to visit Glasgow later in the week for literacy events, and she'd been considering ways to enhance those appearances without appearing to compete directly with Kate's medical research announcement. The solution, she was beginning to realize, lay in collaboration rather than competition. In Glasgow, preparations for Kate's cultural celebration had taken on an atmosphere of genuine excitement rather than routine royal protocol. The enhanced status of the event had attracted master craftspeople from across Scotland, each eager to demonstrate their traditional skills and discuss preservation challenges with the Princess of Wales. Margaret Cameron, a master weaver from the Isle of Harris, had traveled 8 hours to participate in the celebration. Her intricate tartan work represented techniques passed down through 6 generations of her family. But she worried about finding young apprentices interested in learning such demanding crafts. The Princess of Wales really understands what we're facing, Margaret explained to local media covering the event preparations. Traditional crafts need royal support to survive in the modern world. Her commitment to launching this cultural preservation initiative could make the difference between these skills surviving or disappearing forever. Kate arrived in Glasgow to find the cultural venue transformed into a vibrant celebration of Scottish heritage. Instead of the formal presentation originally planned, the enhanced event had evolved into an interactive experience where she could observe craftspeople at work, try techniques herself, and discuss preservation challenges directly with master artisans. The cultural preservation initiative Kate would announce had grown substantially during the planning process. Working with Scottish cultural organizations, the royal team had developed a comprehensive program linking traditional craft masters with modern apprenticeship opportunities, providing funding for workshops and educational programs, while creating markets for traditional products through royal endorsement. As Kate moved through the various craft stations, her genuine interest and prepared questions impressed the participating artisans. She spent 20 minutes learning basic pottery techniques from master potter Duncan Reed, asking detailed questions about clay preparation and glazing methods that demonstrated real understanding of the craft's complexities. You can tell she's done her homework, Duncan confided to Margaret Cameron between demonstrations. She's asking about technical details that most people never consider. This isn't just a photo opportunity for her. The announcement ceremony took place in the venue's central hall, surrounded by displays of traditional Scottish crafts and demonstrations by master artisans. Kate's speech revealed the depth of preparation she'd invested in understanding Scotland's cultural heritage, challenges, and opportunities. Traditional Scottish crafts represent more than beautiful objects, Kate said, addressing an audience that included craftspeople, cultural historians, and government officials. They embody knowledge systems developed over centuries, environmental wisdom about local materials, and social traditions that connect communities across generations. Preserving these practices preserves part of Scotland's soul. The cultural preservation initiative she unveiled included funding for master craftsperson programs, educational partnerships with Scottish schools, and marketing support to help traditional crafts find modern markets. But Kate also announced something unexpected that demonstrated her growing understanding of how to maximize royal impact. This initiative will not remain limited to Scotland, she continued. We will work with cultural organizations across the Commonwealth to identify and support traditional crafts facing similar preservation challenges. The knowledge and methods we develop here will benefit artisans from Canada to Australia, from New Zealand to Wales. The response exceeded everyone's expectations. Cultural organizations that had struggled for years to gain attention for preservation issues suddenly found themselves with royal patronage and international platform opportunities. The Scottish government immediately pledged additional funding to match the royal initiative. Tourism officials recognized the potential for cultural heritage experiences that could attract visitors interested in authentic traditional crafts. Amanda Wilson observed the event with growing amazement at how Kate consistently transformed royal appearances into genuine advances for charitable causes. The princess had taken an enhanced platform and used it not just for personal success, but to create lasting institutional changes that would benefit Scottish culture for generations. As news of the cultural preservation announcements spread, it became clear that Kate's Scottish tour was establishing a new standard for royal engagements. Rather than simply attending events and making speeches, she was using her platform to launch substantial, long-term initiatives that addressed real challenges facing communities and institutions. Queen Camilla, monitoring the coverage from Windsor Castle, found herself experiencing a shift in perspective. Instead of feeling competitive about Kate's success, she began to see opportunities for collaborative approaches that could amplify the monarchy's overall impact. The younger woman's achievements were raising the bar for royal effectiveness, creating opportunities for all family members to engage in more meaningful charitable work. The stage was set for the tour's final day. When the full implications of Kate's enhanced platform would become clear, demonstrating how strategic advantages could transform into lasting institutional changes that benefited everyone involved. The final day of Kate's Scottish tour brought an unexpected development that would define the lasting impact of recent events. Kate woke in her Glasgow hotel to find a personal message from Queen Camilla, requesting a private meeting during her return to London. The tone was warm but serious, suggesting that the Queen Consort had important matters to discuss. Amanda? Wilson reviewed the message with Kate over breakfast. Both women recognizing the significance of Camilla's direct outreach. Royal family meetings usually followed formal protocols and advanced scheduling, but this felt more personal and immediate. She wants to discuss collaborative opportunities for upcoming engagements. Kate read from the message. She specifically mentions learning, from the Scottish tour's approach to enhanced charitable impact. This represented a remarkable shift from the competitive dynamics that had inadvertently created Kate's enhanced platform. Instead of viewing the tour's success as a defeat, Camilla appeared to be seeking ways to build upon it collaboratively. The morning's final engagement took Kate to Stirling Castle, where she met with representatives from the cultural organizations that would participate in her preservation initiative. The meeting had been added to her schedule as a working session to establish implementation timelines and partnership frameworks. Master craftspeople who had participated in the Glasgow celebration joined the discussion, bringing practical insights about training programs and market development needs. Kate found herself in the unique position of facilitating conversations between royal administrators and working artisans, bridging different perspectives about how cultural preservation could work in practice. "The princess really understands our challenges," explained Mary Stuart, a master basket weaver from the Orkney Islands. "She's not just offering money and publicity. She's helping create systems that will keep these traditions alive for our grandchildren." During the drive back to Edinburgh for her flight to London, Kate reflected on how the enhanced tour had exceeded even the revised expectations. What began as an administrative review prompted by competitive concerns had evolved into a model for more effective royal